Jangan komentar sebelum tonton video ini sampai habis ya.
We can ask a much more reasonable question. Where and how did Jesus claim to be God?
That it feels right.
Baik, jadi atas pertanyaan apakah Allah itu bisa dilihat atau tidak, saya akan mendasarkan apa kata Alkitab. Saya akan mendasarkan dari Yohanes 4 ayat 24. Ini Alkitab ya, apa kata Alkitab ya. Allah itu roh. Ya, ini Alkitab mengatakan Allah itu roh. Barang siapa menyembah Dia, menyembah Allah, haruslah menyembah di dalam roh dan kebenaran. Jadi, aku meyakinin Allah itu roh, tapi kok ada wujudnya? Itu berarti tidak roh, ya kan? Maksudnya begitu. Menurut Alkitab, Allah itu roh. Kalau sudah roh berarti tidak kelihatan.
Hanya Adam dan Hawa yang bisa berinteraksi dengan Tuhan secara langsung. Namun saat mereka melakukan dosa, mereka bersembunyi kan? Itu karena mereka tidak akan kuat jika harus melihat Tuhan lagi. Tuhan Maha Suci dan tidak dapat bersentuhan dengan dosa sekecil apapun. Saat Nabi Musa ingin melihat Tuhan, apa yang Tuhan katakan? Keluaran 33 ayat 20. Lagi firman-Nya, engkau tidak tahan memandang wajahku, sebab tidak ada orang yang memandang aku dapat hidup. Tidak ada orang yang dapat memandang kemuliaan Tuhan.
Where Jesus is answering Philip, he says, if you have seen me, you have seen the Father. Which by reasoning, the Christian thinks that Jesus is the Father. But if we look at it in its context, again, there are a series of misunderstandings. From the very word go, chapter 14 begins with that misunderstanding, and the misunderstanding of the disciple continues. Chapter 14, it says, Jesus is telling his disciples, and whither I go, ye know, and the way ye know. You know where I'm going, and you know how to get there. So the disciples say, Master, we know not whither thou goest, and how can we know the way? They misunderstood. Jesus was speaking about spiritual journey. They are thinking of geographical locations, like Dundee, Newcastle, where? Southampton. He's talking about God and going to God. So Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. This was too heavy for them. They couldn't follow what he's talking about. So he says, Lord, show us the Father, and it sufficeth us. It will be enough. Just show us God. We want to see God with our bodily eyes, and that will be our satisfaction enough. In answer to that, Jesus says, Philip, you have been with me for so long. You are a Jew. As a Jew, you ought to know better than that no man can see God and live. God is not seen at any time. and you being with me for 3 years, you still haven't understood my mission. You want to see God with your physical eyes when you can't even look at the sun. If you have seen me, you have seen the Father. Meaning, if you understood me, you would understand what God is. And this is the language he's speaking ever and anon. He says, seeing they see not, hearing they hear not, neither do they understand. This seeing is not physical seeing. If you understood what I am, you would have understood what God is. You wouldn't make such a silly request. He is not claiming to be the Father. He says to the Jews, ye have neither heard his voice, the voice of God, at any time. You have not heard the voice of God any time, nor seen his shape or form. At any time. The Jews were seeing Jesus and they're listening to him. They didn't hearken to the message, but they were listening to him. They were not deaf. All the Jews, they were reacting to his message. They were listening. They were hearing and they were seeing, and they wanted to stone him, and he used to get out of the way. He used to run away. He used to hide. They were seeing his form, and he used to disappear, not into thin air, but hiding away, running away, according to the Bible. So he could not be the Father, and he could not be that God.
Another evidence would be that in John 14:9, it relates that Jesus Christ is alleged to have said, quote, he who has seen me has seen the Father. And you will find Christians who say this. Jesus Christ said, he who has seen me has seen the Father. Well, there it is. He's saying, you're seeing me, you're seeing the Father. No. That's not what he said. He said, he who has seen me has seen the Father. In metaphorical language, that can mean that you are seeing the representative who represents the revelation conveyed from the Father. Is there stronger evidence to support that viewpoint? Absolutely. Absolutely. In John 5:37, we read, quote, you have neither heard his voice at any time nor seen his form. Jesus Christ stating that you have never seen God's form or heard his voice. And yet he is standing physically in front of them, telling them with his voice, saying, you have not heard God's voice, and Jesus Christ is the one who is speaking. So if they're hearing his words, and he is saying you haven't heard God's voice, obviously Jesus Christ cannot be God. In the same way, he is standing in front of them bodily, saying that you have not seen his form, and yet they are looking at him. So if they have not seen God and they are looking at him, obviously he cannot be God.
God is not a man, and God is not the Son of Man. Is this in the Quran? Is it in the Quran? Yes. But I didn't quote it from the Quran. I quoted it from the Bible. That's in the book of Numbers, chapter 23, verse 19. God is not a man that he should sin, and God is not the Son of Man that he'll repent. And when I read that, I said, now wait a minute. If it says here that God is not a Son of Man, then how is it in the New Testament it's saying Jesus is Son of Man? How could he be a God? I took it to one of my preacher friends and I said, hey, look at this. What do you say about this? You know what he said? He said, that's a big S, Son of Man. The other one's a little s, Son of Man. Now, I think you already know, as most of the audience knows, there's no such thing as upper and lower case letters in Aramaic, Hebrew, or Arabic. It means they lied again.
terima kasih ya yang sudah tonton video ini sampai habis. Jangan lupa untuk share video ini jika merasa video ini bermanfaat. Cek dan share juga video-video kami yang lainnya ya.